You know, it was also widely reported that Bill had a friendship or business or some kind of contact with Jeffrey Epstein, and that you were not, that was very upsetting to you. Did that play a role in the divorce at all in this process?
Yeah, as I said, it's not one thing, it was many things. But I did not like that he'd had meetings with Epstein, no.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you made that clear to him?
I made that clear to him. I also met Jeffrey exactly one time.
Did you?
Yes, because I wanted to see who this man was. And I regretted it from the second I stepped in the door. He was abhorrent. He was evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterwards. So, you know, my heart breaks for these young women because that's how I felt. And here I'm an older woman. My God, I feel terrible for those young women. It's awful.
You felt that the moment you walked in? I didn't realize that. He was awful. Yeah. And you shared that with Bill, and he still continued to spend time with him?
Any of the questions remaining about what Bill's relationship there was, those are for Bill to answer.
Okay.
But I made it very clear how I felt about him.
Mm-hmm. I think.
Now, we all knew that Bill and Melinda Gates had got a divorce, but none of us really knew why. You know, we had speculations. We didn't know if Bill had stepped out on a marriage or maybe things had just got sour like they do in relationships. But when I found out, one of the main reasons, I was floored. And one of the main reasons is right what you see on your screen. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you some evidence of things that have been going on with Mr. Bill Gates and Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. Now, you know how YouTube is, and they like to zing for certain names and certain words. So I'm going to mention this individual as Jeffrey Epstein, but you know exactly who I'm speaking about, the monster who they found in his cell existing no longer. So let's get off into this. Now, these video clips and this evidence I'm going to show you are wow. And you're going to see just how the elites rewarded this man, rewarded him after he went to prison the first time. If you didn't know, when Jeffrey Epstein was found unalive in his cell, that wasn't his first time in prison for those charges. There was a time years earlier, and yes, all the politicians and the business folks knew. Now, some people cut him off after that, but we're going to get more into that as we go. So just rock with me. Bill Gates breaks silence on Jeffrey Epstein's scandal. Here's how a foolish mistake led to his divorce. Billionaire philanthropist and Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has candidly admitted his association with Jeffrey Epstein was a grave mistake. Speaking to the Wall Street Journal, Gates, 69, described the relationship with the convicted offender as foolish and a misstep driven by misguided hopes of advancing global philanthropy. In retrospect, I was foolish to spend any time with him, Gates said. It was a huge mistake. This acknowledgement comes years after Epstein's death in 2019 while awaiting trial for trafficking and charges. The threat that changed everything. Details about Gates' ties to Epstein have added layers to the narrative surrounding his divorce from Melinda French Gates in 2021. Reports indicate that Epstein attempted to blackmail Gates in 2017, leveraging knowledge of an alleged affair between Gates and Russian bridge player Mila Antonova. Epstein, who had reportedly funded Antonova's software coding school tuition in 2013, pressured Gates to invest in a multi-billion-dollar charitable fund linked to JP Morgan Chase. Gates refused, and the incident has since cast a shadow over his personal and philanthropic endeavors. Melinda Gates. Epstein was a factor in our divorce. In a 2022 interview with CBS Mornings, Melinda Gates revealed that Gates' meetings with Epstein contributed to her decision to end their 27-year marriage. She recounted meeting Epstein once out of curiosity and described the encounter as deeply unsettling. I regretted it the second I walked in the door, she said. He was evil personified. My heart breaks for these women. Melinda clarified that her decision to leave the marriage was influenced by multiple factors, but Gates' association with Epstein played a significant role. The couple, who shared 3 adult children, Jennifer 28, Rory 25, and Phoebe 22, finalized their divorce in 2021. Gates has since referred to the split as his greatest regret, describing the process as miserable for both parties. Today, Melinda is in a relationship with entrepreneur Philip Vaughn, while Gates has been linked to Paula Hurd. Jeffrey Epstein's arrest and subsequent unaliving in 2019 shocked the world, exposing a vast network of alleged trafficking and connections to high-profile figures. His death, ruled a personal unaliving or a self-unaliving, remains shrouded in controversy, due to lapses in jail protocol and non-functioning cameras in his cell. Epelator's connections to figures like Gates fueled public scrutiny, raising questions about the extent of his influence among the world's elite. In hindsight, Gates said his ties to Epelator taught him to be more cautious about his associations. I thought it would help me with global health philanthropy. In fact, it failed to do that, he admitted. Now, here's the crazy thing about that. You expect us to believe that a billionaire like Bill Gates needs somebody like Epelator to do philanthropic good around the world? You were doing just fine prior to that. How do all of these other people do their philanthropic things without needing to deal with a convicted person who's known for doing things that hurt little people, that hurt children? That's crazy to me, but it don't stop there. So you know how everybody loves to bring up Trump, right? They love to say, oh, you know, Trump was on a plane. Trump was on a plane. Now, you and I both know, under the Biden administration, they've already had Epelator's information and files. If there was one shred of evidence, if you're enjoying this video, do me a solid, hit that like button, because I'll never ask you for a cash app or a super chat, but you hitting that like button really does help the channel get the information out there. And if you aren't subscribed, subscribe. And then once you do, make sure you hit that notification bell and then select all. And that way you'll be notified when I upload new videos that can link President Trump to anything negative involving young people. You know, it would have been broadcast on every network around the world 24/7. This individual, Epelator, met a lot of people. He was a billionaire. He was a mover and shaker. Billionaires are in the room with other billionaires and other millionaires. So yeah, you're going to shake hands. It's like P. Diddy. Diddy was with Obama, Hillary Clinton. He got a picture with Trump too. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. Now, does that mean all of those are involved in the Diddy parties? Well, with the Democrats, it could. But no, Prince Harry, Prince William, these things happen. But there's no evidence linking them. And if there was, we both know it would have been out. But here's the kicker. Bill Gates was friends with this man. And you heard it say in 2017 is when the blackmail came. Well, check out Bill Gates out of his own mouth what he says. And then I'm going to share this information with you to show how much BS that is what Bill Gates is trying to feed us.
I have to ask you about Jeffrey Epstein. Melinda mentioned that was one of the strains, your relationship with him. And, you know, why? I guess the question is real simple. I mean, why did you continue to meet with him? When you met him, he was already a convicted sex offender. You know, and do you regret that?
I certainly made a huge mistake, not only meeting him in the first place, but I met with him a number of times. I had a goal of raising money for global health. I didn't realize that in a meeting with him almost downplayed the incredibly awful things he did. You know, I learned more about that over time, but you know, I'd add that to the list of big mistakes, including, you know, where Melinda's advice was sound and I should have followed it sooner than I did.
And you never saw anything where you thought, this doesn't feel right? Melinda kind of had a visceral reaction the first time she met him.
No, he was a bad person. And you know, I had a reason that I thought those meetings would lead to something good, but I shouldn't have done them.
So you heard him say he shouldn't have done them, right? And as if he just didn't know what type of company he was around. But did you know this? Look here on the screen. Now, all of these billionaires, these people have private investigators. You know, if it's an employee or somebody coming out against them, they've got all the resources in the world to dig into this person's family, where they live at, who they know, to hunt this person down to make sure this person stays quiet. But none of these people were aware of the 2008 conviction of this individual where he did 13 months in prison. That's right. Jeff Epelator is a convicted offender by 2008. Why did the powerful stick with him? The embarrassing list is like a hand reaching from the grave for many of the rich and famous. So these folks knew. To many, it was the epitome of a sweetheart deal. Epelator had been reported to be accused of abusing tons of young ladies at his Palm Beach mansion. He was staring down the barrel of a possible federal indictment that could send him to prison for life. Instead, the wealthy financier pleaded guilty in Florida State Court in 2008 to one count of soliciting young people for sexual activities He served a 13-month stint in county jail and was regularly allowed to leave as part of a generous work release program. Once he was free, a gilded Rolodex of the world's wealthiest and powerful continued to mingle with the convicted offender. I want to show you something because I don't want to go through this whole article. All right. But you see that 2008, he got convicted, right? But guess what he did? He stayed silent. Now I'm going to show you something. And you're going to ask me like, well, Brian, why in the world are you showing me this? So the day after, I take that back. I think it was a month after the sentencing, right? So he took the charges, got sentenced to 13 months. This is what happened in Oklahoma. And you're going to ask me, why in the world are you talking to me about something in Oklahoma that has something to do with Epulator about things in Florida? Stick with me. Trust keeps Powerball winner a mystery. Only Lottery Commission knows, who is now $29.3 million richer. A financial planning company based in Oklahoma City received $29.3 million Monday on behalf of the Zorro Trust, which held the winning ticket from the July 2nd drawing. The trust shields the winner or winners from the kind of publicity that Fink specializes in. Certainly, we like putting a face to winners, said Finks, the Oklahoma Lottery's marketing director. We were hopeful that they would come in, but as time passed, we knew that they were going to form a trust, Fink said. A representative from Heritage Trust Company presented the winning ticket at lottery headquarters on Friday. The winning ticket was sold at an Atlas convenience store. That store received $25,000 from the Lottery Commission for selling the ticket. The jackpot was worth $85 million if the winner chose to collect it through 29 annual installments. The winner chose the lump sum option, which reduced the prize to about $41.3 million. Automatic deductions for state and federal taxes reduced the take-home prize to $23.9 million. Larry Clocks declined to provide his former co-worker's name, saying the woman had requested anonymity. But if you had to pick someone in town to win it, she'd be the one I'd pick, Cox said. It was just meant to be, I guess, he said. The grocery store at 600 East Broadway is less than a block from the Stripes convenience store that sold the winning ticket. The WJW Investment Trust claimed $101.8 million in August 2006, and Don and Joyce Harvey of Muldrow claimed a $105.8 million prize in June of 2007. Under Oklahoma law, a lottery winner can remain anonymous as long as the trust's beneficiaries are disclosed to the Lottery Commission. Lottery officials are required to determine whether the beneficiaries owe back taxes or child support. Jim Scroggins, of the Oklahoma Lottery's executive director, said it is unusual for two of Oklahoma's three Powerball jackpot winners to shield themselves in a trust. I guess the older a lottery gets, the more astute people become, he said. The motivator for remaining anonymous, Scroggins said, is fear of being pestered for money. He recalled one winner didn't choose the trust route and was inundated with donation requests totaling several $millions. If you get one or two, you might give to them. But if you get them all the time, it's a hassle. All right, so you heard it say, this ticket has only been won 3 times between 2006 and when this was done in 2008. 3 times, 2006, 2007, and 2008. Each one of those winners just happened to be big business people. 2 out of the 3 formed a trust to claim the winnings. Now you might say, well, Brian, what in the world does Zorro Trust, who won the Oklahoma Powerball, taking home $29.3 million, or they could have had 80 some odd million in annual payments? What does that have to do with Jeffrey Epulator and Bill Gates? This. As I was digging and researching, I came across some information that I thought you might find interesting. So back in, okay, there we go. Jeffrey Epulator's New Mexico Zorro Ranch sold, attorney confirms. Let's go down. Jeffrey Epulator's, let me get this out here. Jeffrey Epulator's roughly 8,000-acre Zorro Ranch in New Mexico sold for an undisclosed amount earlier this month, according to Nexstar KRQE. The ranch was sold to San Rafael Ranch, LLC, and a new warranty deed was recorded on August 16th. The sprawling property was listed for sale for $27.5 million, according to the Santa Fe County Clerk's Office. KRQE obtained documents that confirm the exchange of ownership from Cypress Inc. to San Rafael Ranch LLC. Records show Epelator and the Zorro Trust bought the ranch from the Gary King family, then built his 33,339 square foot mansion there in the 90s. Did you hear that? The Zorro Ranch was bought by the Zorro Trust. The Zorro Trust, coincidentally, is the same exact trust where a month after Jeffrey Epelator had been convicted and sentenced and kept his mouth quiet, his company, his trust, or himself, should I say, just mysteriously wins the third ever Powerball lottery winning ticket in Oklahoma, claims the roughly $30 million he got for staying quiet, allegedly. Now, people might say, well, Brian, that's just a coincidence that he hit the lottery in Oklahoma for his Zorro Trust, which is a New Mexico financial planning company. How does a New Mexico financial planning company, Zorro Trust, win the lottery Powerball, the third ever in Oklahoma, coincidentally to the man who just got sentenced to prison for all types of nefarious and disgusting actions and activities on his island with other powerful business and entertainment and political figures that he never told on? Is that just a coincidence? Because I don't believe in coincidences. I don't. There's no such thing as that. It's just, when things line up, they just line up. That is not a coincidence that this individual, a month after being sentenced to 13 months in prison and staying quiet, wins a Powerball lottery ticket at a little store in a neighborhood in Oklahoma, which is only the third time it's ever happened. And if you saw the other two times it ever happened, just mysteriously and interesting, they were also big business power players who just happened to win it, right? As if they needed the money. Or is that a way of get payback and laundering and funneling money through the system without anybody knowing? Because my wife and I have a trust, and the trust it protects your assets. Unless somebody knows the name of the trust, they have no idea where you have things or how you have them. So why would Epelator want to hide the fact that he mysteriously won the jackpot, the Powerball in Oklahoma? It's crazy the games that these people play and the webs that they weave. And at the end of the day, you know who the joke is really on? Us. So I wanted to bring you this information because I saw it and I said, wow. I said, there is no freaking way that all it is just some coincidence. It's just no way that that's a coincidence. And when I saw that in 2008, after the conviction, Zorro Trust won this lottery Powerball, then come to find out when you do some digging, Zorro Trust is owned by a New Mexico financial planning company that just happened to be owned by Jeffrey Epelator. And the whole way I was able to find it is through the purchase of the ranch and the naming of Zorro Ranch. And you say, what is the odds of a trust called Zorro Trust and a ranch called Zorro Ranch not being connected? And then what is the odds of a convicted individual winning a Powerball, the third one ever in that state's history, a month after his conviction, and staying quiet? And one other thing I want to show you real fast, just so you know just how powerful this individual is or was. Check this picture out. Inside of his home, he kept a picture of Bill Clinton in a dress. This individual, Epelator, this painting is a real picture that he has hanging up in his home when you first walk in, of the former president, Bill Clinton, wearing a blue dress and red shoes. This is not fake. That's not AI. This is fact. And we know how many times BC had been out there. He stayed kicking it with him after 2008, all the way up until the convictions were handed out. Bill Clinton was friends with this man and hung out with him. Prince Andrew, Tons of other people hung out with this man, did business with him under the guise of philanthropy. It does make you wonder how many of these other so-called philanthropic situations are nothing more than rich people flip-flopping money. Hey, man, I'm going to donate $50 million to your charity. That way I can write that off on my business. You can donate $50 million to mine. It's a wash. You think that don't happen? But how powerful do you have to be for the president, former president, to allow you to have him in a picture wearing a dress where every guest that comes in your house can see it and you not have to take it down? Bill Gates is begging to want to meet and hang out with this man. Talking about he wanted to build a global philanthropic, as if you needed him for that. As long as the Bill and Melinda Gates have been going on. Who y'all think y'all fooling? But the veil has been lifted and we see you now. We see you. So when he's out there talking about all of these things that involve the jabs and what he wants to create to do this and that for people, remember something. This is the same individual who said that he wanted to decrease the global population by 9 to 10%.
Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Using healthcare and jabs that starts with a V, you know, what they had people taking during the pandemic. And I know it annoys people when I talk like that, but you got to know, man, YouTube strikes, they penalize people big time. And so the viewers and the listeners are like, I'm tired of hearing these stupid words talk. But the actual content creators are the ones that got to deal with the backlash of what happens from that. So thank y'all for being so understanding. But I just wanted to bring you this information. So the next time you hear Bill Gates talking, acting like, oh, what he's doing and he wants to help people and he loves the children. Bull crap. He's full of it. And since when does a techie, a software techie, become the expert on medical jabs? When did that happen? Where they do that at? Man, ain't go to school for that, but was on the forefront of it. I'm telling you, these people are trying to work his plan of reducing the global carbon footprint. So you got to watch what we put in our body. We got to watch what we put in our systems, because they definitely don't have our best interests at heart. But hey, I don't want to get off on another tangent. Thank you for hanging out with me. If you're still here up to this point, I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you aren't already, subscribe. And most important, leave a comment. Tell me what you think about it. But most importantly, I want you to be safe and you stay great. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.